Michael's world flipped the moment the rumor dropped. He had allegedly married another woman in secret while still legally tied to Angela, and within days, Angela fired back with a lawsuit. No build-up, no warning. It hit the fandom like a punch to the chest. My name is Sabrina, and this is TLC Drama Live. If this twist already has your heart racing, subscribe right now and tell me in the comments what your first reaction was when this story broke. I want to know exactly where you stand. Angela's move toward the courthouse stunned people who thought she was done fighting. She filed for fraud and emotional distress, and the tone of her statements made everything feel personal. She said she felt betrayed. She said she felt played. She said she had trusted him for years. That pain showed, even through the anger. The question hanging over everything was simple. Did Michael betray her in the worst way possible? Or had their relationship collapsed so long ago that this was only the final moment where the cracks became impossible to hide? Angela's supporters pointed to the years of mess she pushed through. They remembered her trying to save something that kept slipping out of her hands. She shouted because she was scared. She chased because she worried he would leave. Their arguments felt loud but familiar to anyone who has held on too long. On the other side, critics asked if Angela wanted justice, or if she wanted to send a message. They wondered if this was about heartbreak, or if it was about staying in the spotlight. They remembered the growing tension between her and the franchise, the missing episodes, and the slow shift in tone around her storyline. They asked whether this lawsuit was a breaking point or a strategy. In the middle of all this, Michael stayed silent. He did not rush to explain. He did not deny. He did not defend. His side of the story came only from close sources who suggested cultural pressure or family involvement, nothing direct. His silence created a vacuum that fans filled with fear, anger, and guesses. Silence can be louder than words when a relationship is already shaking. Angela's reaction online made the situation even more intense. Her frustration was sharp. She talked about wasted years. She talked about manipulation. She talked about feeling foolish for trusting someone who, in her view, hid something this serious. Her words came out raw. They felt like the kind you say when the pain has not cooled yet. Anyone watching could see an emotional storm building. Something about this moment feels bigger than the secret marriage itself, which is why viewers keep asking what pushed Angela to draw this line now. The legal filing asked for more than separation. It asked for financial control. It asked for official distance. It showed she wanted a clean break, not a pause. People wondered if this was about reclaiming her life or taking back power. She felt she lost over the years. They also wondered if she feared losing relevance after losing Michael. None of these questions have simple answers, and that is what pulls the audience deeper. Fans also kept replaying their older episodes, trying to find clues they missed. Moments where Angela seemed exhausted. Moments where Michael seemed disconnected. Times when they tried to fix things, but their faces said the opposite. When a couple struggles on camera for years, people start to wonder when the real breaking point happened. Was it a specific fight? Was it a secret message? Was it a family issue? Or had the relationship turned into routine long before this scandal surfaced? The timing of the alleged marriage raised eyebrows too. If Michael married someone else while still tied to Angela, how long had this been planned? Did Angela find out suddenly? Or was this a slow drip of suspicion turning into confirmation? Viewers wanted details, but the more they looked, the more holes they found. Some felt sympathy, some felt anger, some felt confused. Everyone felt invested, and that investment is what fuels this story. A long history of public drama, a relationship built on highs and lows, a couple pushed by distance, culture, trust issues, and the pressure of national attention. It created a fuse that burned for years. The secret marriage was only the spark that set off the explosion. The real shock isn't the scandal itself, but the unanswered question of what happened behind the scenes before this moment hit the public, and why this pattern feels like something we all should have seen coming. Angela and Michael's story looked dramatic from the very first season. Their connection had spark, but it also had a tension that never settled. Viewers watched Angela's face tighten every time Michael picked up his phone, and they watched Michael freeze when her temper rose. Their energy swung from sweet moments to shouting matches in a single breath, and fans caught on fast. This was not a calm romance. This was a relationship built on pressure, distance, and fear of losing control. Angela often cried about trust. She worried about younger women around Michael. She worried about messages she did not see. She worried about loyalty slipping away the moment she blinked. It was emotional and intense, and anyone who watched those scenes could feel the weight on her. At the same time, Michael reacted with a mix of patience and hesitation. He said he loved her, but his body language showed someone who felt pushed into corners he could not escape. Their arguments became a ritual. She raised her voice. He defended himself. Then they hugged it out. Then the cycle restarted days later. When they reached the tell-alls, the tension reached new heights. Angela spoke over Michael, sometimes so fast he barely got a sentence out. She said she needed honesty. She said she needed transparency. She said she needed commitment. Fans wondered why she stayed if she felt this stressed, and why she kept giving Michael more chances when she said she no longer believed him. The contradiction made viewers lean forward. The more she pushed, the quieter he got. The quieter he got, the angrier she became. It never slowed. There were moments when Angela softened. She talked about her past, her fear of betrayal, her need to feel secure. Those moments made viewers feel for her. They also highlighted something deeper. Angela wasn't only fighting Michael, she was fighting the ghosts of old heartbreaks. And when someone fights their past inside a current relationship, the partner becomes part of a battle they never chose. Michael had his own contradictions. He said he loved Angela, yet many viewers felt he looked exhausted. He said he wanted a future together, yet his actions often created confusion. Some fans believed he wanted the visa more than the marriage. Others believed he stayed because he didn't want to be the man who gave up. No one knew the full truth, and the uncertainty kept the fan base arguing season after season. Social media only added fuel. Angela posted emotional live streams. Michael kept a low profile. Their imbalance made the public feel like Angela was fighting alone while Michael was slipping away. People debated whether she was reacting to real issues or reacting to fear. They debated whether Michael felt pushed or whether he was hiding something. There was no clear answer, which made the story even stronger for the viewers. The story kept building tension because both of them held on for reasons neither fully explained, and fans started wondering what they were protecting. As time passed, one pattern stood out. The couple fought, cried, broke up, reconciled, and repeated the loop across multiple seasons. It felt like habit. It felt like comfort in discomfort, and it felt like something the cameras rewarded. Every season needed the Angela and Michael showdown. Every tell-all needed the confrontation everyone expected. Every breakup needed the dramatic makeup fans clicked on. This creates a haunting question at the heart of their journey. At what point did their relationship stop being a marriage and start being a storyline kept alive for the sake of the show, the attention, and the routine they no longer knew how to leave? Angela's reality TV run turned into something bigger than a love story. Once she entered the 90-day universe, her presence spread across spin-off after spin-off. Viewers joked that switching on any TLC show meant bumping into Angela within minutes. She moved from before the 90 days to the main series to diaries to pillow talk to happily ever after. Har season mein same energy. Loud fights, sudden breakdowns, and unpredictable reactions. The franchise treated her like a guaranteed ratings boost, and fans noticed. Even people who disliked her still tuned in because they expected chaos. The petitions to remove her started early, and they kept growing. Fans argued she crossed lines on screen. Some said her aggression made scenes hard to watch. Others said production let her get away with things that would end any other cast member's time on the show. It created a strange loop. The more viewers complained, the more screen time she got. The message felt clear. Drama sells, and Angela delivered drama on demand. Agar shouting ho rahi ho, TRP बढ़ रही होती थी. And the show kept leaning into that pattern. At the same time, her off-screen behavior added fuel. Live streams where she cried or ranted, public fallouts with friends, online shade toward anyone who questioned her choices. Fans saw someone who lived inside the intensity of the franchise, even when cameras stopped rolling. Some felt sympathy, others felt drained. Many wondered how much of her stress came from the relationship and how much came from the pressure to stay interesting. The more outrageous the moment, the more the show spotlighted it. That created a feedback loop. Viewers felt the show encouraged the worst parts of her behavior. Critics said production rewarded noise instead of growth. Supporters said she kept the franchise from turning stale. Both sides agreed on one thing. Angela had become a symbol of how far the show would go to keep attention high. This is where things started to shift, and fans sensed a change. The later seasons looked different. Scenes with Angela appeared less often. Rumors spread that production was reconsidering her future. A few episodes aired without her presence at all. Then came those quiet signs, the missing storylines, the strange delay in introductions, the sudden distance between her and the network. It left viewers with one question that no one could answer. When did the formula stop working? And when did the franchise decide that the chaos they once rewarded had finally crossed a line they no longer wanted to follow? Angela's slide away from the spotlight did not happen in one big moment. It happened in scattered pieces that fans started piecing together. First came the late arrival in a season that usually introduces couples early. People wondered why she showed up so far into the story. Then she appeared in fewer scenes. Then the episodes rolled on without her. It felt like she was fading from a world that once revolved around her. Viewers noticed she quietly removed the show name from her bio. That move hit harder than any fight she had filmed. It looked like someone preparing for an ending she never wanted. Her emotional live streams added more confusion. She cried on camera. She said Michael had gone missing. She said she did not know what he was doing or where he was. Fans who once watched her shout now watched her break down. The shift hit people differently. Some felt sympathy because heartbreak is messy in private and brutal when it plays out in public. Others felt she was reacting to losing control. A few believed this was her way of holding attention after the storyline stalled. When Michael left, the shade on social media became constant. She posted indirect quotes. She threw jabs about loyalty. She reacted to comments that accused her of driving him away. Her tone bounced between sorrow and anger. Her posts were long, emotional, and sometimes so intense that fans felt secondhand stress. Even then, something was changing. Her engagement started sinking. The comment section, once full of heated debates, grew quiet. Even the people who disliked her no longer showed up. Indifference replaced outrage. For someone who fed off attention, that silence felt heavier than any scandal. She tried to spark interest again. She posed with trending cast members. She commented under posts from fan favorites. She hinted she had Hollywood plans. She hinted bigger things were coming. She wanted people to believe she had options, that she was still a player in the reality TV world, but the reaction did not match the energy she poured out. Fans scrolled past faster. Clips that once exploded barely reached anyone. The more she pushed, the more obvious the shift became. This raised a painful question that Angela never addressed directly. When a person builds their purpose around a relationship and a franchise, what happens when the relationship ends and the franchise stops looking in their direction? Jasmine's story brought a fresh wave of shock. Her pregnancy news landed right after months of tension with Gino, and the twist hit viewers like a slap. The baby was not his. It belonged to Matt, the man she met at a gym and later reintroduced to the audience during a messy stretch in her marriage. The timing stirred questions. Was the marriage already over? Was this a new start? Or was this another example of a couple holding on even when the connection had faded long before the cameras caught on? Her history with Gino was intense from the start. They argued about trust and past mistakes. They argued about intimacy. They argued about loyalty. Their love looked passionate but unstable. Gino often looked confused and tired, while Jasmine cried or shouted about feeling ignored. Then came the stage where she talked about wanting an open relationship. She said she needed physical connection. She said she felt empty without it. She said she could not continue without change. Gino sat there stunned. He did not hide how uncomfortable he felt. It was written all over his face. He struggled to speak and struggled even more to understand how to save the marriage. Once that idea entered the conversation, fans argued for months about Matt. Some said he was a friend who stepped in during a low point. Others said he was always more than that. His presence complicated everything. He spoke with confidence. He seemed calm while Gino panicked. Jasmine lit up when he called in during the show. Viewers caught it quickly. Her smile, her tone, her comfort. It was a different energy than what she had with Gino. When the pregnancy confirmation arrived, the shock shifted into clarity. The emotional triangle was no longer theory. It had turned into life-changing reality. The fanbase split into camps, and everyone felt the tension rising. Then Rob stepped in during the tell-all. He became the unexpected voice pushing Jasmine to answer for her choices. He said she needed accountability. He said Gino deserved honesty. He said she had crossed lines. Viewers did not expect him to take such a strong position, and suddenly the studio felt like a courtroom. Jasmine fired back. She defended her choices. She insisted she had her reasons. Gino sat quietly, overwhelmed by the storm around him. Fans spent days debating who was right. Some said Rob cared about fairness. Others called him messy for jumping into drama that was not his. The argument spread fast online. This triangle pulled viewers in because it mirrored the Angela and Michael situation, but with younger faces and new layers, there was betrayal. There was confusion. There was someone holding on while the other slipped away. There was also the sense that the show rewarded the chaos. Every fight gave more airtime. Every twist created more attention. Jasmine's story created headlines and clips everywhere. She became one of the most talked about figures of the season. Her pregnancy shifted everything. It forced the audience to confront how much pain was hidden behind flirtation, jokes, and shock value. Gino looked fragile. Matt looked confident. Jasmine looked torn between the life she had built and the one she had stepped into. Viewers kept watching because the emotional stakes felt real. The future felt uncertain, and the mix of love, pressure, and public judgment created a storm no one could look away from. This left one growing question: was Jasmine leaning into the same loop Angela went through, using drama to stay in the spotlight without seeing how much the cost would rise once the cameras moved on? Angela's story and Jasmine's story look separate on the surface, but once you place them side by side, something deeper appears. Both women lived inside relationships that slowly turned into entertainment. Every fight, every tear, every breakup, every reunion, it all became content. The audience watched betrayal play out like a weekly series. They watched suspicion grow. They watched someone accuse the other of cheating. They watched threats of separation, then sudden forgiveness. They watched pain get turned into a storyline that needed a twist every few episodes. When the camera is there, silence feels boring. Calm feels risky. Drama feels necessary. The emotional load behind that pressure is heavy. Angela felt control slipping away and reacted with raw anger. Jasmine felt connection fading and reacted with emotional swings. Michael tried to keep the peace. Gino tried to save the marriage even when he seemed exhausted. Matt stirred things by stepping into a relationship that was already unsteady. These moments came across as television beats, but when filming ends, the same people still carry the same feelings home. The hurt does not disappear when the episode ends. The confusion does not stop once the audience gets their entertainment. Fans often demand accountability, yet they also reward the highest volume and the biggest shock. People click on explosive scenes. They replay the shouting. They share the cheating rumors. They create theories about open relationships. They argue about who lied and who told the truth. That attention keeps the most dramatic cast members on screen. When viewers say they are tired of the chaos, the numbers often show the opposite. The cast members see this. They feel it. They learn quickly that peaceful scenes do not trend. Moments of growth get overshadowed by moments of collapse. This cycle changes how people behave on the show. Angela leaned into the loudest parts of herself because those were the moments that got picked up by producers. Jasmine leaned into fire and unpredictability because that is what kept viewers invested. Michael learned to stay quiet, even when he looked overwhelmed. Gino learned to hold on, even when it caused him pain. No one is pretending they handled things perfectly, but the environment around them encouraged the mess. The quiet truth is that when someone's relationship becomes their job, their instinct shifts from protecting their peace to protecting their relevance. When a person feels the weight of thousands of comments, they start performing without noticing. They start choosing the reaction that will get attention. They start raising their voice faster. They start saying something shocking before thinking about the fallout. Viewers get entertained, but the emotional cost lands on the cast. Some lose themselves, some lose their partners, some lose their place on the show. Once the spotlight fades, there is no script to hide behind. There is only a person trying to understand how their real life turned into a highlight reel of their worst moments. This raises a harder question that sits under both stories. Has the show trained its stars to pick chaos over growth because the calm couples disappear while the broken ones get the spotlight? Angela and Michael's story lands in a strange place. She filed a lawsuit that carries real weight. He faced allegations of a secret marriage that could change everything. People waited for a clean answer, but these situations rarely give one. Angela said she felt betrayed and pushed to the limit. Michael stayed silent, which made the shock linger even longer. Both of them spent years trying to hold a relationship together while millions watched. They reached a point where every choice felt public. Every mistake got screenshotted, and every argument lived forever online. Once things reached this stage, there was no version where anyone walked away feeling like a winner. Their journey fed the franchise for years. Viewers kept tuning in because their story always felt one step away from another explosion. Now, the same story has turned into a legal fight that strips away whatever glamour the show added. When a relationship ends quietly, people feel sad. When a relationship ends in court, people feel something heavier. It forces fans to look back and wonder when the marriage shifted from real life into something performed. Some moments were sincere, others looked like a couple trying to stay relevant even when their bond was slipping. That mix is painful because it reminds viewers that fame does not protect a relationship. It often accelerates the parts that break it. Jasmine's triangle adds another layer to this picture. Her pregnancy with Matt shocked the fanbase because she had shared years of highs and lows with Gino. Their issues were not hidden. Their fights were loud. Their affection was intense. They looked like two people who wanted a future but could not align their needs. Gino wanted stability. Jasmine wanted something deeper and more physical. When she introduced the idea of an open relationship, the marriage shifted. Viewers saw the hesitation in Gino's eyes. They saw the spark between Jasmine and Matt. They saw the tension during every call. When Rob challenged Jasmine at the tell-all, he voiced what many fans felt. People wanted her to acknowledge the impact of her choices. Her reaction showed how torn she was between two different paths. Moments like these remind viewers that reality TV does not freeze emotions. It magnifies them until everyone reaches a breaking point. Still, it is important to hold empathy for the people inside these stories. Angela carried years of fear and pressure. Michael dealt with distance and public judgment. Jasmine tried to fill emotional gaps she did not know how to express. Gino held on even when the marriage felt too heavy. Matt stepped into a complicated space. Rob spoke up because he saw someone hurting. No one walked through these stories without stumbling. Fame does not make people stronger. It makes their weak moments louder. It makes every misstep part of a storyline instead of a private mistake they can process alone. Both arcs leave viewers with lessons. Drama gets attention, but it drains the people who live inside it. Loud scenes create ratings, but they break relationships. Couples need space to grow, but cameras shrink that space until growth feels impossible. Fans ask for accountability, but they also reward the chaos that pushes cast members into worse decisions. There is a balance the franchise has not figured out. Maybe viewers can shift it by supporting couples who choose honesty over conflict. Angela and Michael reached an ending that looks final. Jasmine, Matt, and Gino are still inside their storm. Their choices will shape what comes next. Their futures depend on whether they want healing more than attention. The audience will watch either way, but the reactions might change if people start valuing clarity over explosions. The question now is simple. Will the franchise give more space to healthier stories, or will familiar patterns repeat until another cast member reaches their breaking point? As for what comes next, there is already tension growing around Jasmine and Matt's future dynamic. That story is headed into new territory, and the signs are already showing.